Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am so glad that you are here with me today. Thank you for joining me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope you are all doing well. Feeling the vibes, right? Okay, so today I would like to share with you a very intimate, deep story. Something that was extremely painful to me in my life. And it took a long time to get over. It caused post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, severe depression. It kept me in a hell, in a prison within myself, mentally and emotionally, for a long time. But first, before we get into that, I want to read a poem to all of you. I'm not sure where to look in the camera, so if I look weird, I apologize. I'm not sure. I still don't understand this whole thing. Maybe I need to get a different camera or something, because it seems like no matter where I'm looking, I'm not sure if I'm looking in the right way. I have no idea. So, look, I'm not Walter Cronkite over here, and I was not trained in how to be in front of a camera. So if I do anything annoying, I apologize. Just bear with me. I'm learning. Something I wrote a very, very long time ago when I was in high school. I found this in one of my yearbooks, and it's a poem that I wrote I would like to share with you. It says, and this is it here. I actually ripped it out of I actually wrote it in my autographs thing in my high school yearbook. And you can see all the signatures of people who signed my yearbook. Many, 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 many moons ago, believe it or not. We won't say how many, though. But many. So, I stumbled across this, and it was something that I wrote a long time ago, like I said. And it says, this poem is for all the people who have lost someone special to them or something special. This poem is also for those people who were lost. This poem is from the heart. This is for April 9th, 1999. And the poem is called Within. Life is like a candle. As the wick burns and the fire breathes, like a heartbeat, the lungs that fill with air, it has life. Life is like a candle. Sometimes the fire burns bright. Sometimes it burns dim. Life is like a candle. With imperfections and discoloration, nobody is perfect. Life is like a candle. Sometimes the wax overflows and runs down the candle, leaving tracks when it dries. In life, sometimes emotions overflow and tears run down a face, leaving tracks for tomorrow. Life is like a candle. The fire that burns is precious. If not handled properly, it could become dangerous, sometimes taking the lives of others. Life is like a candle, and as the fire burns, the wick becomes smaller. The candle ages, young or old. If the wind blows too hard, out the candle goes. Life is wasted. The fire that made the candle dies. The spirit, the smoke, leaves. It dances up to heaven and disappears into the air. Life is within. Now, I want to tell you the back story of this poem. So, when I was 16 years old, I got pregnant, and my mother forced me to have an abortion. And it utterly devastated me. It was not something that I wanted to do, but it was something that I was forced to do and was forced to believe that that was the best decision and the best option for me. And this isn't a discussion of whether abortion is right or wrong or what side I stand on or don't stand on or anything like that. That's not even where this is going. To each their own. All kinds of women make different decisions based on different situations. I don't have any opinion about that. What I am simply doing is sharing my story of what I went through and how it affected me and how I healed and overcame. And it took a long time. Now, we all suffer different kinds of traumas, and that's not the worst thing that's ever happened to me in my life. But for me, it was something that I was not able to deal with at 16 years old. And it was something that I did not heal from till probably maybe, probably since about, I finally healed from it, I want to say somewhere between 2017 and 2019. And this happened in 1999. So you do the math. It took a long time to heal from it. So I think because it wasn't my choice and I was forced into it and it was not something I wanted to do, it had a worse effect on me. And plus, of course, being young. And when you're young, your frontal lobe is not fully developed and you're not able to process these things or go through these things like an adult. And so it had a really tragic effect on me. And we're not even going to get into that part. It's just so you know a little bit of my background of why I had some very self-destructive behaviors. I would accomplish many, many things in my life, and I would get to the top of the mountain of whatever I was doing or trying to accomplish, and I did it really well. Like, really, really well. Not even bragging about myself, but if I put my fuel and my passion into something, I want to succeed at it, and I try to be the best that I can be at it. And I put my whole heart and soul into everything I do. And I would get to the finish line, or get to where I was wanting to go, what goal I was trying to achieve. And then out of nowhere, I would just completely self-destruct. Relationships, jobs, family relationships, marriage, more relationships, tearing those down. You know, like I was always putting something together and then tearing it down. And then putting something together, building it up, and then tearing it down. And I mean down completely to where there has been points in my life where I was utterly homeless. Went from living in really nice places and having everything that I ever wanted and needed and the most beautiful job opportunities and making great money and having great people around me and friendships and having a wonderful marriage. Not perfect. Nobody has anything perfect, so don't misconstrue what I'm saying here. But it was really good. And then out of nowhere, I would just completely destroy it and go into these depressions to where, I mean, like, wanting to not, be in my body anymore. That sad and that depressed. It took me a long time to heal from it. And when I was in high school, I wrote that poem and I came across it and I thought, you know what, I should share this with my collective because there's probably somebody out there that's going through something similar or something, period. And you might find yourself in these same situations and not being able to forgive yourself. Like, it was really hard for me to forgive myself, to love myself, and to move on. And I had more kids. And I love my 3 children. I absolutely adore them. But there was this other part of me that was so broken. And I would get down on my knees and I would pray and I would cry to God, the universe, whatever your belief system is, okay, whatever you believe to be the creator outside of yourself. Like, I would get on my knees and I would just cry, like, please take this from me. But, like, when is anything ever taken from you? Really, honestly, you have to release it yourself. I mean, of course, we can ask for outside help, but I mean, in the grand scheme of things, like, it's not just ever going to be just taken from you. You're not just going to, like, wake up in this, like, some magic thing's going to happen and then it's, like, taken. Rather, you should probably just ask for help. And when I finally stopped asking for it to just be taken from me and started, like, asking, like, for real healing and for real help me help myself, became my new prayer, became my new cry for help, was help me, help myself out of this, because I'm in so deep, I don't know how to get out of it. And I keep repeating these cycles over and over again, and I can't figure out why. So I want to share a story with you that it's like, I didn't have all of this epiphany and have this, like, healing and everything, like, right away. It was a bunch of things that kind of, like, happened in my life that God, the Spirit, Holy Spirit, the divine, the creator, my spirit guides, my intuition, opening up my heart and my mind to things, stopping in those moments, like we talked in some of the last videos of the cards that I pulled, when it says, like, when you're going through this journey, like, actually being able to stop in the moment and, like, feel and think and see, like, actually what's happening around you. Because chances are what's happening right now, today, like, in this moment, the things that you're experiencing, you asked for back there. Like, back there, you weren't getting them instantly, though you can get instant downloads and instant information, but, like, to see the whole picture and have everything play out, it's kind of like watching episodes of a series, right? Like a really good series that you're into. Like, they don't cram the whole story and all the little details and all those things, like, in one episode. They, like, throw it out, like, micro bits here and there, and you'll be down somewhere along in the series, in the last concluding few episodes, you're like, oh, that's why this back there, and oh, that tied in with this. And then, like, same thing with our lives. It's a big drama, it's a big movie. You are literally playing a character in your own life, and the other people around you playing characters in each other's lives. Think about it like that. So back to my story. I'm going to give you all the little pieces of things that then later I put together, which then helped me be like, have this release, okay? So my son, so after the abortion, or I continued to date the same guy in high school. We got pregnant almost exactly a year later with my oldest son, Dylan, who is phenomenal. Not just because he's mine. Well, maybe because he's mine. But he's pretty awesome. I love him to pieces. Had Dylan a year later. So by then, I was 17 going on 18. I just turned 18 when I had him. He was born in September. I turned 18 in June. He was born in September. Yada, yada, yada. So fast forward a couple of years. Dylan's like 2 years old. Okay. He's like 2. And I'm putting him to bed one night. And as I'm putting him to bed, he looks right at me with the most serious face. And back then, I really wasn't a spiritual person, like at all. And after what happened to me, I really didn't believe in anything. So it's not like I taught Dylan about anything spiritual. We were not having those conversations in my house at that time. Not for many, many, many years later. Many, 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 many years later. Not until probably Dylan was about 10 did I start to awaken to my spirituality. Okay. So I'm putting him to bed and he looks at me. He's like, Mommy, when I was a girl, I drowned in the ocean. And I was like, what? Dylan, you were never a girl. What are you talking about? Like, I don't even know if he knew what an ocean was. He had not been to any oceans at 2. We definitely were not, couldn't afford to take him on a vacation or anything. He didn't even like, and here's the crazy thing. He hated the water. He absolutely hated water. When that child was little, from the time he was like a month old until I don't even know when, you could not get a drop of water on this child's head. He would scream bloody murder. I used to think like, oh my God, the neighbors are going to call like 2-for-1 kids on me because he's in here screaming bloody murder. I'm just giving him a bath. I would literally have to like tip his head back, put a rag, take a cup, and like pour slowly, because if one little drop even ran down this child's face, he was having a fit. I mean, a fit. I'd be like, oh my gosh, kid. So anyway, putting him to bed, he says that. And I'm like, that's weird. So I was like, Dylan, you don't say that. Like that Mommy says that doesn't make any sense. Like, let's not say that. That doesn't make sense. You were not a girl and you did not drown in the ocean. Okay. So I completely forgot about it. Went on with life. Then I want to say, I don't remember how many years later it is. I get a book from a friend. And it's this book right here. I don't know if you've ever read it, but it's called Many Lives, Many Masters. And it's by this person. Can you see that without the glare? Don't know if you've ever read this book, but it's pretty amazing. So a friend gave me this book and told me to read it, but I didn't read it for probably like another 3 years. It literally sat in a drawer. Till one day, out of nowhere, I just decided I was going to start reading it. And if you've read it before, it's pretty awesome. It's about a guy who it's a true story. This guy wrote it, and it's about a psychiatrist, okay? And he has this young patient, and they're talking about past life therapy, okay? And they end up doing like some past life regression therapy where some of these stories and this like hidden information comes out. You should read it. It's really good. I don't want to give away too much of it, but just check it out. And so I read this book and I was like, okay, that's kind of interesting, whatever. It is what it is. I read it and put it over to the side or whatever. And then some years and years later, as I'm going through all this whirlwind of building myself up and tearing myself down and being depressed about this abortion and everything, and not giving myself forgiveness and wondering like, why did that have to happen? And why didn't I make a different decision? And what would it be like if this child was here? And would Dylan be here? Like, did it mess up? Would it have like changed the trajectory of like the lineage of my family and my kids being born and everything, like you start having all these questions, right? Like, are we missing out on anything because this person isn't here? And I was having lunch with my mom one day, and it was after my stepdad had passed away, and we kind of got into like this spiritual conversation, which we don't typically do. Like, I would probably say I'm the most spiritual person of my family. Maybe besides my grandma, but she's old school, so I think I'm more open-minded. Well, but we won't get into that. So anyway, to each their own. You know, everybody's here on a different path, learning on a different journey. I can only just share my experiences. We were having lunch, and I asked my mother if she believed in reincarnation. And she said, I didn't used to, but I kind of think I do now. But I'm not really sure, but I'm open to it, the possibility of it. And I said, I kind of believe in reincarnation, and I told her about this book and some of the things that I had read, and that, you know, I started watching some videos on YouTube of parents posted their children talking about their past life and like remembering their past life and saying things like, and things that like my oldest son Dylan said that I just kind of like threw to the wayside because I didn't understand it, or I thought he was just playing make believe or something. So my mom goes out of nowhere. She's like, well, you know, one night I was putting Dylan to bed and he said something weird to me. And I said, really? What did he say? And she's like, he said that when he was a girl, he drowned in the ocean. And I said, oh my gosh, he said the same thing to me. Why didn't you tell me he said that? And she's like, I just thought it was weird. I didn't think anything of it. And I was like, yeah, okay, I could see that because I kind of thought the same thing too. Like, you know, I didn't further investigate into it. I just kind of let it be. And then all of a sudden, a couple of years later, as I was like sitting and praying and meditating, as I went like further on this spiritual journey and understanding things and getting out of some of that programming, and you know the programming I'm talking about, no judgment, teach your own, but I'm just saying I had a certain amount of programming which held me in my own personal imprisonment, okay, in hell. And if you believe something that makes you feel like crap, it can't be good for you. I know that God is love, and anything that makes you feel like you are not good enough, or you're a terrible person, or you're going to some horrible place, I don't see how that could be good for anybody to believe. And it certainly doesn't set you free from anything, and it certainly doesn't help you heal from anything. So I'm not going to get on a soapbox about that. Everybody's in a different place. But one night as I was sitting there, all of this just hit me all of a sudden, and like I realized, like I even asked God, I said, God, all those nights that I was laying there crying, give me my baby back, that I was so sorry, did you give him back? And I never heard anything clearer in my life than a loud yes within myself. And I heard God, the divine, tell me clearly, go back and think about all the things and all the clues and all the things that I've been giving you this whole time. Yeah, I gave your baby back, but he's a boy this time. And that's when I was like, you know what? Reincarnation, it has to be real. I mean, how else do people get off the wheel of karma? And oftentimes you see people who come back and repeat the same things over and over again. Even in this life, they can't get off that. And let me tell you, when I realized that, You can say it is what it is. You can believe whatever you want to believe. I'm fine with that. But what I want to tell you is I asked God for an answer. I asked God to be healed from this. And as soon as I had that epiphany, I was set free. All that condemnation, all that guilt, all the chains, all the depression, all the tearing myself down, all that, it just left me. Now, I will say it took time to learn new and good, healthy habits, right? I didn't just like wake up the next day a completely different person and stopped doing the things and the bad cycles that I had been doing like for years previous. Like, it took time. But that was the door that opened, and that was the starting point that let me know, like, yeah, he came back. And it just explained everything. I don't know if any one of you have been through a similar experience, but there's just been too much confirmation for me to not believe it. And I am so thankful because the universe is plentiful. It really is. And I think we do have past lives. And I think we are in this present life to learn from the past. I mean, if you think about it, our faces alone, our faces are a current mosaic of the people who were here before us. Think about that. All your ancestors and your family members and everybody that preceded before you are a mosaic of all of them. I think it's beautiful. I think it's absolutely beautiful. And if you don't get it right in this life, maybe you'll get it right in the next. But I don't think you need to beat yourself down for every little thing that's ever happened or every mistake you think you've made, because then you go back to the idea of duality, the yin and the yang, the light and the dark. Like, you can't have light without dark, and you can't have dark without light. And all of these things, they all play out together. All of them. It's like a big play. It's a big play. And sometimes we beat ourselves down unnecessarily. And we don't forgive ourselves for things. And had I not have had that abortion, Dylan wouldn't be Dylan. And let me tell you, he is really phenomenal. He's an actor and he's a musician. He's very talented. And I am so proud to be his mother. So everything for a reason, even if we don't see fit for it. That's when we have to just woo way. We have to woo way, go with the flow. Look up Wu Wei. I think it's like an old Buddhist. I think it's Buddhist teaching. Wu Wei. It means to do nothing. Like, not be lazy and do nothing or careless or whatever. But it means to just go with the flow. Because we're not always in control of this great, big, huge thing called life. And if you want to take it a step further and learn from someone who I find to be extremely amazing. If you've never heard of Dolores Cannon, please go check out Dolores Cannon. She is awesome. Look up her video on YouTube, Dolores Cannon, called 3 Waves of Volunteers. I think you will find it very fascinating. I sure did. And I hope and pray that you find whatever it needs for your own healing, for something to help you release the things that have been weighing you down, because you deserve to be happy. And I can tell you what, it doesn't mean that bad things haven't been happening since then. I mean, it's life. The have and the have-nots, right? But I'm better able to deal with it. And I don't beat myself down anymore, and I have a lot more understanding. And sometimes not understanding, but just understanding that you don't understand is all that you need to understand. I hope that makes sense. So, get this book, read it if you haven't. It's really awesome. Dolores Cannon came up with past life regression therapy with some other people like in the 70s. She's like a pioneer of it. And she invented the technique. I think it's called QTT, quantum therapy something. I don't know. I think she calls it QTT or something like that. Go look her up. She's phenomenal. She definitely helped me to put a lot of things in perspective. And like I said, really helped solidify my healing journey. And it doesn't mean that I'm not still healing from things, of course, because we're going to get things thrown at us that we haven't experienced before. So, but we can take the tools that we have that are in our toolbox that we've collected thus far, and when those things do come at us, we're able to handle them much better. Don't you agree? So I pulled 3 cards before I came on here, but you know what? For some reason, I feel like I'm only supposed to do this card. So I'm just going to go with what my intuition is telling me. And that is to go with this card right here. So this is Sacred Geometry. It's pretty too. I like the colors. Very pretty. Sacred Geometry. Let's read this and then we will conclude this message today. Okay. Sacred Geometry. Here we go. Order and chaos, despite being opposites, are intimately linked. One does not exist without the other. It is the illusion of duality that makes us perceive them as different things. Interesting. It's right on time of what we were talking about. Of course, Spirit would lead me to this card. Thank you. Love it. I love my spiritual team. Love it. Okay. It is the illusion of duality that makes us perceive them as different things, even though their essence is identical. Think about that. Every chaotic situation is a moment of change and transformation with the potential to generate a new reality. The sacred geometry in this painting represents a metaphor of order in the universe. It comprises dimension, codes, systems, and symbols that represent the source of life, matter, and spirit. Today, the invitation is to address the eternal chaos, not eternal, internal. Today is the invitation to address internal chaos with perspective. To welcome chaos is to allow the obsolete to be destroyed, transformed. Today, I let things break and fall apart if that's the way it has to be. What goes away always leaves room for something new. This is the law of evolution, the universe, galaxies, nature, and of the human being. order. I observe the movements of the universe within my own day-to-day life, recognizing my resilience and, sorry, I thought I saw something on the floor, but I don't. I thought it's a spider. Anyway, sorry, I saw never mind. I don't want to talk about it. I saw a scary spider earlier, so I'm like, I don't want to get bit. I like spiders, it's fine. I just don't want them touching me, that's all. Anyway, sorry, let me start that over again. Weird distractions. Okay, get it together, Crystal. Seriously, I'm trying to read here. Okay, observing the dance of chaos and the teaching it leaves behind on the path of learning, I realize that the destruction of ignorance marks the arrival of knowledge. Oh, I love that. Of knowledge, order, and love. I understand that the nature of chaos and order transcends the label of positive to negative. The whole picture is my guide through uncertainty. I am at peace. And with that, I hope and pray that peace be with all of you today. As within, so without. As above, so below. And I hope that you learned something and you can take something from this message. And you will go out there and discover what it is that you need for your own healing and take responsibility for it and take it into your own hands. You can do your own magic. You can do your own magic. How about that? Because you are co-creating with God, the universe, the creator. How cool is that? And you are the director of your play, of the characters all around you and of your character. And if you don't like something, just rewrite the scene. Change the dialogue and rewrite the scene. Until next time, I love you. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.